What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV, bringing you the best of all things gaming Monday to Friday. Today we're back on Call of Duty Black Ops 3, but there is hopefully going to be a second video today on Battlefield 4. I actually have to go and get a gameplay for that, whereas this is just part of that Nuketown block that I talked about, I think, in the 1,000 subscribers kind of special video where I just talked about having 1,000 subscribers and all that. I told you guys that there's a big block that I took of gameplays on Nuketown where I was just playing with part of the challenge squad and some other guy that I just met that day, and we were just going off and a half. I think I went like 51 and 13 in this game in particular, but there was just a ton of Nuketown games. It was a Nuketown 24/7, and we were basically destroying everybody. And I just grabbed a big block of gameplays just to use for random commentaries and stuff like this. So that's what you're seeing today. And so yeah, so I already lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys, but we're getting into random commentary today. These Nuketown gameplays are just going to be used for things that I just want to talk about in the game where I don't necessarily need to show anything, things that don't really fit into playlists like CoD Challenge or First Look Camos or whatever, anything like that. The Nuketown gameplays are just going to be used for random commentaries where I can just talk about whatever. So today, we're actually going to be talking about Call of Duty developer weapon favoritism. And that might sound like, what the fuck is that? But there is actually, you'll understand what it is in a second when I start talking about it. And that is that a couple days ago, I think it was Tuesday, we did the Vesper Golden Weapon review, and the Vesper has had a really rough time recently. The Vesper was once a god gun. It was once just the greatest weapon in the whole game. It was just unstoppable. It was pretty badass. And the devs saw how powerful it was and how loved it was in the community, and they decided that it needed a nerf. But instead of giving it like a sensible nerf, they just destroyed it. They completely cut it out. Like, they did not cut that gun any slack. They they demolished that gun. And it's still usable. Okay, don't get me wrong. Like, if you haven't seen the Vesper Golden Weapon review, I have used it since the nerf, and it is still very usable, but it takes so much extra skill. You can do the Varix 3 little trick, as long as the Varix 3 isn't patched yet by the time you're watching this video, but I have a feeling that the Varix 3 is going to be patched. I still have to make a video on that as well, but you can do the Varix 3 trick by putting a Varix 3 on it to decrease the recoil that it has, but apart from that, like, you have to be very, very, very skilled at this game to use the Vesper at this point. If you want to use it just blank canvas without anything on it, you're going to have a really rough time because you have to be so accurate to use the Vesper now. You have to be so skilled in this game. You can't just pick it up and have fun with it. You really have to practice and put your all into using the Vesper now that it's had this terrible, terrible nerf. So it generally just can't compete against the more popular weapons in the game now, whereas before it was very competitive. I don't think it was overpowered to the point where it needed to be nerfed so bad. It could have just been nerfed a little bit, and it would have stayed competitive. I think it was competitive with other guns in the game. I think other guns in the game were on par with it when it was in its prime. Now it's not even worth it to use it unless you're really, really going to practice and really just do your best with it. So it's kind of been wiped from the history books at this point. The Vesper's just been wiped out. It's one of those guns that you won't remember when you look back on Black Ops 3. Like, in every Call of Duty game, you look back and you can recognize certain guns. Like Advanced Warfare, the BO3, the ASM-1. You're going to look back in years from now when Advanced Warfare 2 comes out, or whatever Sledgehammer plans up for their next game in like 2 years. You're going to look back and you're going to be thinking, oh, I remember the BO3. I remember the Obsidian Steed variant where it was just like so godly and unstoppable. Like, there's always guns in every Call of Duty game that you can look back at and remember about, and you can just be like, oh yeah, I remember those guns, because those are the guns that got the favoritism from the developers. And the Vesper used to be one of those guns. It's not going to be one of those guns anymore. It's not a gun that you're going to look back and remember. In Call of Duty Black Ops 3, we've now got like the Man of War, the M8A7, the VMP, the CUDA, and maybe a few others, but those are the guns that you're going to look back on and remember. Mostly the VMP, because it's used so much in the pro scene, and it's the best, probably the best gun to use in the game. Even though it's fairly average, it's probably the best gun to use in the game right now, and that's the gun that everybody's going to look back on and say, oh, Black Ops 3, yeah, I remember using the VMP. That used to be the Vesper until they nerfed it and just nerfed it to oblivion, and now it's no good anymore. So it's all because the developers, the guys that made the game, they decided to stop the Vesper's popularity in its tracks. They decided that they didn't want that gun to be the most popular gun in the game, so they nerfed it so hard that nobody would ever use it again. And I don't think that's really fair, because I liked the Vesper. Everybody liked the Vesper. It was everybody's favorite gun because it was just amazing. And now it's like, no, like nobody can ever use it again because it's so bad. It's not going to be remembered, and it's just kind of sad because it's like, well, the developers have chosen which guns they want people to remember. They've chosen like their favorites, and they nerf every gun that isn't their favorites, but the favorites they don't nerf. They just choose not to nerf the guns that are overpowered, and they choose not to nerf the guns that are the best. The guns that are used in the pro scene, like when did has the VMP ever got a nerf in this entire game? No. I don't think it has. I mean, it's got buffs. It's actually got buffs recently for how fast it aims down sights or something, some bullshit like that. But it's never actually got a nerf as far as I know. It's always been a really powerful gun. I think it's got buffs, but it has never been nerfed, and that's because it's a really popular gun in the pro scene. And Call of Duty developers are catering to the pro scene, and they're catering to all these different people except the casual players. The casual players are noticing that every second player that you play against is using the VMP, and we're all kind of like, we understand that, and we're like, okay, like what's going on here? Like the VMP's pretty OP. Maybe it should have like a little tiny nerf to it just to make it so that other guns are a little bit more competitive with it. But no, like they're going to keep the VMP the same because it is a favorite in the pro scene, and if it's a favorite in the pro scene, then it's a favorite for developers, and the developers want to keep those guns alive. So they're not ever going to nerf the VMP. Like they've talked about weapons that are overpowered and stuff, and you see them on Twitter talking about weapons and whatever. Like when they nerfed the Vesper, they were like, oh, rest in peace Vesper, like nobody's ever gonna fucking use you again, and they know this. So it's not even, it's not like a fair nerf. Like they're not doing it to actually even the odds. It's like they're doing it so that their favorite weapons will survive in the future of this game, and I don't think that's very fair. So I think there's always just like a few guns that are choice weapons for the pros and an MLG and stuff, and those weapons never get nerfed, and that's a huge problem. I think that maybe it's time to put in more weapons, like put more weapons into your Call of Duty games, like make them, like take a note from Battlefield 4. There are so many guns in Battlefield 4 that you never really see the same gun twice. If you're playing in a game, obviously you're playing in a game, there's gonna be like 32 whatever people in your game, 32, 64, whatever, how many people are in your game. There's all these people, and they're all using different guns because the guns are so varied, there's so many of them, and they're so on par with each other. They're all balanced, and that's what makes it the game great, because there's all these different guns. You never see the same gun twice, and they're all very powerful, so you don't need to worry about using this one gun to up your KD, because the one gun is not going to be the only gun in the game that can compete. So what I'm thinking is they should put more guns in the game so that the guns can actually be more balanced across the board. I think that would be a good idea on their part. Like I said, take a note from Battlefield 4. There's just so many guns, there's so much variation in the game, and they're all still super balanced. So I think they should do that. They should add more guns to Call of Duty, and then take away this favoritism for certain guns. Like, make the guns even. Make them so that you don't just see like an enemy team of 6 players with 5 VMPs and 1 mana war or something like that. Like, make it so that other guns, less popular guns, get back into the scene. Like, stop catering to the really good guns in the game. Like, stop refusing to nerf these really good guns. Like, nerf them a little bit so that we can see more variations, so that we can see all of the guns being used in the game. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video, guys. I just had a little rant about that, just because when I was just doing that review on the Vesper the other day, I was just like, you know what, this is so unfair. Like, the Vesper used to be one of my favorite guns. It used to be so cool. It used to be so amazing. And now that they've chosen that they don't want the Vesper to be good, so now the Vesper is just never going to be good. It's never going to be remembered as a good weapon. And that's just kind of sad, because there's a lot of guns that are wacky and weird in this game, and those are a lot of my favorite guns to use. But not a lot of other people will use them because they're just not good, and they're just not going to help you in increasing your KD or in winning games and all that. So that's all I wanted to say in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you agree with anything you heard in this video, hit the like button. Comment down below your thoughts on COD developers and their weapon favoritism in this game. Like, what guns they choose over other guns to be the best in the game. Do you think that's really fair? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hopefully, we're going to get another Battlefield 4 video out today. I actually have to go and get a gameplay for that one. Like I said, this Nuketown block, I have a whole ton of gameplays just lined up and ready to go. So I didn't have to get gameplay for this one, but I do have to get Battlefield gameplay because I haven't played that game in a long time, and I want to make a Battlefield 1 wish list and talk about what kind of things I want to see in that game. So hopefully we can get that out today. If not, we'll do another Call of Duty video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the second video of the day. See you later.